Alright, what's poppin'? My name is Curtis Cake, and welcome to Abyss Swordfly 101. How to swordfly over the abyss and skip the encounter. So basically, I'll have like timestamps for all classes. I'll have for like each character in the description, but this is the basics. If you never done this before, if you have no idea what's going on, I would recommend watching the basics. So yeah, do the basics. Basically, Abyss Swordfly is just whatever, depending on what class you're on, you do something while you're falling. Whenever you see a certain visual cue, you use your jump or whatever, like Twilight Garrison, to stop your fall, like stop while you're downward momentum, and then you start sword flying. You have to aim a certain direction. It's right over there. I'll show what you aim at. And you're going, and then whenever you sword fly out a certain distance, you turn toward the plate because you have to go around a death barrier. So the sword flying with the regular sword, it's just a series of light-heavy combos in midair. So, light, heavy, the right bumper is light, and then right trigger is heavy. You alternate. The way that I like to sword fly, I think the easiest way to do it is spam the bumper, spam the light attack button for light attack, and then just press heavy once. So, you do light, heavy, and then as your heavy animation is happening, you spam the right bumper, and then when you're spamming the right bumper, as soon as you see that light go off, you press the heavy button. So, spam, press once, spam, press once, spam light, press heavy, spam light, press heavy. While you're sword flying, I would also recommend to, with your left hand, just hold the left stick forward the entire time. I think it lessens the amount of time, like it speeds up the heavy animation, so it makes it easier. So yeah, with your left hand, hold that left stick forward, and then I like to do the sword fly. I like to you do the sword inputs with 2 fingers. So obviously, index finger for light, and then middle finger for heavy. And then you'll have your two fingers on the triggers, and then, or I guess the trigger and the bumper, and then you use your right thumb to move the camera while you're sword flying, because you are going to need to move the camera. So, the best way to do this, the way to get the most amount of sword ammo, rather, is Exotic Sword, Double Scabbard, these perks that give you more ammo, and Radegast. And whenever you pop your heavy ammo synthesis, you want to make sure that you have your sword in your hands, because if you don't have your sword equipped, Radegast doesn't work. It doesn't give you the ammo for some reason, so pull out your sword, double scabbard, and you will either have 101 or 102 ammo, depending on if you have heavy ammo on your armor. And as you jump in the hole, you look at that right there. So I pull out my sword, and you see your little sword reticle right here. Aim that guy right there. It's in between that rock, that weird-looking rock, that weird-shaped rock, and then this pillar next to it. Aim right there. And as you fall in, you look at it. Now, the visual cue as you're falling into the abyss, I use the skull. As soon as the skull pops up, that's whenever you do your input to break your fall. So you'll see that in the examples for all the characters. You'll see what the skull pop up. Say respawning restricted, and there'll be a skull. As soon as you see that skull pop up, that's whenever you break your fall and start doing your sword swipes. Now, basically, as you're doing the sword fly, you want to be counting the amount of combos. So, each light heavy is 1. So, do it like, light heavy 1, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. So you're going to be counting them. Whenever you fall and you do your first initial start, you break your fall, I like to do I think a safe amount would be 9. You do 9 light heavy combos, and then you do a slight turn, like a half turn. You don't want to turn too sharp because you gotta watch it. You're going around that death barrier. You kind of just curve around it. So I do 9 light heavy combos, and then a half turn, and then another combo, and then finish the turn, full turn toward the plate. And once you do your 10th one, and you do the rest of your turn, you'll be able to see the plate that you're aiming at, the plate that ends the encounter. So once you can see that, once you've done your first 10 and you're looking at the plate, you can kind of just angle your camera directly toward the plate, just maintain your fly and fly the rest of the way. And once you get like safely over solid ground, you can actually fall to the bottom and just sword swipe the rest of the way. It's a little bit more efficient on sword ammo. So that is, I believe, everything that I can think of for the basics. Just because it keeps you further away from that death barrier. So you look, and you're gonna fall, and whenever you see the skull pop up, even like maybe a split second after the skull pops up, you don't want to go too early, but. All right, skull pops up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half turn, 10, full turn. Then you just maintain. You can kind of, you know, continue to fix your alignment. Make sure you aimed up at that plate, and then you just keep up your sword fly. Sword fly does take a little bit of practice. You know, you might end up losing a couple attempts because you just start falling. You know, if you drop it, if you take too long between your inputs. But you know, it just takes practice. You got to get that muscle memory for the sword fly. And you can fall at the end and you know, just sword swipe to the plate if you don't want to keep flying. I think it's a little bit more efficient with the sword ammo. I like to touch that. I think it's safer to touch that plate. Well, it's actually faster as well to touch that plate, and then the safest way is to jump on this rock. And then, when your weight runs out, you jump on this rock, and you're ready to wreck your ogre when he spawns and end the encounter. Alright, for Hunter, the way that we cancel our down our momentum is just going to be by doing a double jump. Just anything but blink. Any of these, doesn't matter which one you're on. All you got to do is just look right here, look at the thing, look at the spot, and then fall. Whenever you see the skull, you press A, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half turn, 10, full turn. There we go. Now you just aim for the plate and continue your sword fly. Make sure you're keeping your inputs tight. Don't want too many frames in between, otherwise you might start falling uncontrollably. And then I think it's a little bit more efficient with sword ammo. I think we're just gonna fall on every character. And sword swipe the plate. Touch the plate. And then go up here. There we go. And then you go up here. Don't jump over the rock, and then you're ready to kill your ogre, dude. Alright, so on Titan, I'm going to split it into Garrison and non-Garrison. I would recommend, if you're just learning how to do the sword fly on Titan, I would definitely recommend having a Garrison. But if you really want to, like, if you really want to do it on a Titan and you don't have a Garrison, I will show how to do that. But we're going to do Garrison first because it's much easier. So you look at your rock, and the way that you break your fall on Titan with Garrison is you're going to hold, whenever you see the skull pop up in that, you're going to hold forward in Garrison. Make sure that whenever you Garrison, you're holding forward, because if you're holding nothing on the left stick, you're going to Garrison backward. So whenever you see the skull pop up, hold forward, Garrison, and then you're going to start your sword fly. So we are going to look at the spot in between the rock and the pillar and fall. Alright, then you hold forward and you Garrison, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half turn, 10, full turn. And then you just maintain the rest of your sword fly the rest of the way. Make sure you're aimed at that plate. My weight of darkness is, yeah, so I'm going out really wide. Doing 9 swings on a Titan with Garrison is like really, really safe. You could do less. You get away with less, but you know, we're going for that consistency. We ain't trying to hit that death barrier. The Weight of Darkness, normally it would only go up to 10. Whenever you go out of, like, bounds, quote-unquote, which is where we're going, your Weight of Darkness will, like, go up by another multiple of 10. And if you go really far out of bounds, it'll go up again. So it went from 10 to 20 to 30. It's going up and down by 3s. Go on this rock. And then you jump on this rock, and you're ready to wreck your ogre. Alrighty, Titan, no Garrison. I have no idea why you'd ever want to do this, but I'll show you how. Okay. So, you're going to have to use your sword to actually break your fall, because your lift alone won't do it. Or use a heavy attack when the skull pops up, so... Look at your rock, and then you fall right there, dude. Swipe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, half turn, 9, full turn. I also pressed A, and I got a little bit of lift in after my my right trigger. I actually don't know if you need to do that, but it's definitely safe if you can do that. The timing for canceling your fall and starting the sword swing and everything is definitely the hardest on Titan without Garrison, but obviously you can't do it. You can't get consistent at it. It's just like any of the other ones, but it's a lot more awkward. And then yeah, you just go over here. Sword swipe. Touch my plate. Then you slide up over here. And do that. Then once your weight runs out, jump on that rock. And you are ready to kill your ogre. I did that on increased control in case anyone was wondering, dude. Alright, so now I'm gonna do without without Memory of Radegast. So I'm gonna have about 80 sword ammo, I believe. The name of the game when you have less sword ammo is just gonna be aiming. Your target destination is going to be different, so with like 100 sword ammo, you can make it all the way to the plate, basically. We're going to be aiming for the lamp. It's the third to last lamp. It's the one at the top of the hill. You're just going to be aiming for that, and that's going to be your landing spot, and you can just, like, remove your weight and then run to the plate. So, I think it also helps if you have less sword ammo to, instead of doing 9, you can play it a little bit, Might not be able to play it as safe. I'm probably going to do 8 combos instead. It shouldn't make too much of a difference. So yeah, so I'll show what this looks like. With about 80. Alright, glide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, half turn, 9, full turn. Now we're just going to aim for that lamp right there. Maybe even aim a little bit to the right of the lamp, so if you run out of sword ammo early, you'll land on the ground and not off the map. Yeah, just kind of feel it out. We're going to make it to the lamp. We're going to be good. So yeah, make sure whenever you fall, you sword swipe while you hit the ground so you don't take fall damage as well. And then you can just let go of your weight. There's not going to be any thrall if you're up here. All the thrall are triggered to spawn at the orange plate that you land on whenever you get down here. So if you don't, obviously if you skip straight to here, you're not gonna have any thrall. So you can just slide over here, touch this plate, and then go over here. And then just jump on your cheese rock of choice, and then you're good to go. Alright, so now it's time for the absolute worst case. If you have no Radegast and no exotic sword, what you're going to want to do is, instead of aiming for the lamp at the top of the hill, I got no ammo, that was a waste. You're going to be aiming for the lamp at the bottom of the hill, the closest one to you. And obviously you're going to do 8 sword swipes and then the half turn, because you're going to cut this a little bit close, it's a little bit tight. So, aim for your thing, right there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, half turn, 9, full turn. Now you really want to cut in and aim for that lamp. Right about there, you stop, and then you're going to want to sword swipe before you hit the ground, like that. And this knight right here is a problem. We're going to go ahead and shotgun him. That knight will spawn. There's obviously going to be no thrall, but that knight will be there. It can be a little bit hard to know when to stop swinging, because you can't look straight down when you're sword flying. You just kind of get a feel for it, but... Go to that lamp, and then you go to this lamp. If you have any more sword ammo, you can use it to smooth, but... It's obviously not as fast to do this with such a low amount of sword ammo, but it does obviously save time over just doing Abyss legit. So if you even if you just have a legendary sword, you can still learn it. You can still learn the sword fly, and it'll still save you time. Let's go over here, and you jump up on your cheese rock of choice, and there you go. You're good to go. Okay, one last thing that I'm gonna go over before we end the tutorial is just troubleshooting basic mistakes, what you're doing wrong, what it looks like, how to fix it, all that good stuff. So, the most common way that you will brick it would just be obviously, you know, you do your RT, RB, or whatever, and then you or their RB, RT, and then you like, you know, wait too long and you drop inputs in between. You'll have too much space in between your heavy and then your next light, so you start falling rapidly. But I guess I'll show off what that looks like later, but I'll also show off something that's a little bit less obvious is canceling your fall too early. So what happens is whenever you hit the loading zone for the Abyss, the stills is what it's called, it happens right about the time that the skull pops up. And if you do it a little bit too early, if you cancel your jump or your momentum a little bit too early, you'll actually stop and, you know, start sword flying before you hit the loading zone. So you'll do like your first, you know, 3 or 4 combos before you hit the load zone. And whenever you hit the load zone, you actually get teleported into like the stills, like the load zone appears around you. So you'll have counted like 3 combos, but you'll have just gotten teleported to like back where you start. So then you'll do like, you know, if you're doing 8, you'll do like 5 combos, and then you'll start turning. And you'll hit the death barrier because you've only done like 5. You get like teleported. I'll show what that looks like right now. So it's a little bit more obvious whenever you see. I don't have that much sword ammo, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna die. Look at that, bro. All right, too early. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just got teleported right there. 6, 7, 8, and then half turn. 9, full turn. Obviously, I'm way too far to the right, and I'm totally dead. So that's what it looks like. You saw me get teleported right there. So that means that I canceled my momentum a little bit too early. So the very common method of failure is going to just be, obviously, dropping an input. Or not even dropping an input, but just, like, having too many frames in between your heavy and your next light. So I'll show what it looks like and how it's unsavable right now, and then I'll explain maybe how to fix it, some things you can try. So, you know, do that, you know, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, light turn, or, you know, half turn. So now I'm going, and then, oh no, dude, there's too many inputs in between, so now it's unsavable. Now I'm like going down. I'm losing altitude quick. This is unsalvageable. You can't get back into the fly. Not that I know of, at least. And that's what it'll look like. You start going down rapidly. So that just means that after my my light attack, or my heavy attack rather, in the combo, the second move in the combo, I waited too long before I did my next light. So, you know, I said obviously the easiest way to do it is to just spam right bumper after your heavy goes off. I think that's the most consistent way to do it, you know. But if you can't spam that fast, what you can do, it's a little bit harder and it might take a little bit longer to get used to, but instead of spamming the right bumper, you can time it. Like, after your full heavy animation ends, you can just wait a certain amount of time and then just right bumper and just press it, like time it, you know, just go, you know, bumper trigger, bumper trigger, bumper trigger, bumper trigger, bumper trigger, like not spamming. It's just like a timing. If you press it too early, if you press right bumper before your heavy animation finishes, it just nothing will happen. You can't buffer the light attack. You have to actually like press it fully after your animation finishes. And obviously if you press it too late, then you'll start losing velocity and falling. So that would take a little bit more practice if you're not going to spam it. I think that Matt just, spamming the right bumper after your heavy attack is over is the easiest way to do it. But yeah, that just is something that comes with practice. Everybody who learns to sword fly loses a bunch of attempts to just, messing up the combo and then falling rapidly and not being able to save it. Just something that comes with practice. Go out, handle it. You got that. It's not that hard. That is everything that I know. That is the in-depth tutorial for all classes. So yeah, dude. There it is.
There it is.
You have anything you want to say to the people, Benway?
Nah. Led Zeppelin is peak, though.
Led Zeppelin's pretty peak.